welcome to Life Today. Got a very special program for you. This is the first anniversary of the program. I want to take excerpts from different programs that we've done during the year and let you recall some of them as we celebrate the time we've had together here, which has been enjoyable for me and I hope for you. So sit back and enjoy the next few minutes that we have in showing you different shows that we have recorded previously. Welcome back. My guest today on Life Today is Congressman Lee Hamilton. And Congressman, I'm sure happy you came to be with us and take time out of your schedule to spend on the program, and thank you.
Dale, it's a pleasure to be with you and to be on your program. Thank you very much.
Good. We've got some real interest today, and because of what has taken place last Thursday and Friday and before that on the budget. And I understand that there was a lot of people had a lot of questions on the budget. Mm-hmm. A lot of calls came in, and we'll talk about the calls in a little bit, but let's get into the budget. What's really in the budget, and then how it'll affect us here.
Well, the budget package, which of course was highly controversial,
Welcome back. My guest today on Life Today is Congressman Lee Hamilton. And Congressman, I'm sure happy you came to be with us and take time out of your schedule to spend on the program, and thank you.
Dale, it's a pleasure to be with you and to be on your program. Thank you very much.
Good. We've got some real interest today, and because of what has taken place last Thursday and Friday and before that on the budget. And I understand that there was a lot of people had a lot of questions on the budget. Mm-hmm. A lot of calls came in, and we'll talk about the calls in a little bit, but let's get into the budget. What's really in the budget, and then how it'll affect us here.
Well, the budget package, which of course was highly controversial, has two primary components to it. The first is a $496 billion reduction in the deficit over a 5-year period. The second part is about a $50 billion investment in people, in research, in equipment, both in the public and the private sector, those two components. And it's a very important piece of legislation, obviously, for the President and for his economic program.
Okay. Now, there was a lot of calls that came in, and did you get a lot of calls also?
We got over 800 calls, but what's happened today is that the political operators have become very, very sophisticated, and I think probably half of those calls, and maybe more, came from outside my congressional district. Many came from Washington, D.C., and were wheeled through Indiana phone sources. So it's not easy to give you a precise number of Indiana calls. I think probably half of the calls came from outside Indiana, but we could be off as much as 10% or more.
Well, how were they calls? Were they for the...
Most of the calls were against the package. In almost any piece of legislation you have, the negatives will outweigh the positives. In this case, I don't know the precise number, but clearly predominant on the negative side.
And you voted for the...
I voted for the package because I just feel you have to do something about the deficit. That's really what it comes down to. Look, we've been living in a bit of a fool's paradise. We've been spending a lot more than we have, and at the end of the day, we have to reach an agreement. If you're going to get the deficit down. A no vote here would mean that business as usual, so far as the deficit is concerned. It would continue to explode. Now, this is not a perfect package. I can find a lot of things wrong with it, but it does have positive features, and the biggest one by far is that it gets that deficit down. Does not eliminate it, but it gets it down.
I heard that there was a report that in the next 3 years or 4 years that the deficit would go up a billion, or trillion, I'm sorry, up a trillion. And then it would kick in with some of the others. It wouldn't go up as much. Is that right?
Well, we think that the deficit will actually come down now over a period of a few years, but it could very well start to go back up again 4 or 5 years down the road. People ought not to think that this package is going to resolve our spending problems and our deficit problems. That's not the case. This is the first step. You have to begin to slow the rate of the growth of the deficit before you can eliminate the deficit, and that's what this package does. We're going to go right back into session in September and October, and we're going to be confronted with additional spending cut proposals. And I think many of those will be enacted.
How do you feel which ones will be looked at as far as cuts, Congressman?
Well, the budget can be broken into two large categories. The first category is what we call discretionary spending. We appropriate money each year for the Department of Defense, for the Department of Transportation, for all of the departments of government. In the discretionary area, we freeze discretionary spending in this package for 5 years. Now that's going to hurt. A lot of people are going to object to that in many areas. And I think generally over a period of several years we have done a better job than we're given credit for in reducing discretionary spending. Let me make clear, not a perfect job, but better than we're given credit for. Now the second part of the budget is entitlement spending.
Right.
And there we have not done a good job. And that's the area that has the most explosive growth to it. So when we begin to tackle again the budget, we're certainly not going to ignore the discretionary spending. We can do more on that side in cutting it. But if we're really going to make progress, we're going to have to do it on the entitlement side.
Hello and welcome back to Life Today. My name's Joe Kendall. I'm the field representative for Social Security, and I work out of the Evansville, Indiana office. And Dale's invited me up here to talk to you today about changes in Social Security that are effective for 1994. Social Security changes things every year slightly. Most of the changes are brought about because most of the benefit rates and some of the taxation rates are tied to inflation and the Consumer Price Index. Let me cover some of the changes that apply now to different groups of people for 1994. For people who are currently working and will be working during 1994, the one thing to let everybody know that's sort of a nice thing to hear is there has been no increase in the tax rate for Social Security. That means that if you're an employee or if you're self-employed, the tax rates for Social Security will stay the same. That's currently 7.65% of your income, your gross income for an employee, up to a new maximum, though, of $60,600. If you're self-employed, obviously the percentage is doubled because you don't have an employer matching that 7.65% of your earnings. There has been one change in that last year, those who are high earnings individuals would pay additional Medicare taxes of 1.45% on any earnings above the maximum, which in '93 was $57,600, and that year's already passed. But what this means is for 1994 is that if you earn more than $60,600, you will still pay Medicare tax on all of your earnings above that figure. There won't be a secondary level where those earnings would stop. Something else for those of you who are working that you need to be aware of, and those who may be working part-time or something of that sort, you earn 1 credit or 1 quarter for Social Security purposes for each $620 that you have in gross earnings this year in 1994. So if you have over $2,480, you will have earned a full 4 credits, and that's the maximum anyone can get in any given year. That is a little bit of a change. For For people who are already drawing benefits on Social Security, there are a few more changes because the benefits themselves, the cost of living increase and all that, are tied directly to the Consumer Price Index, and that's where we get that information as far as how much benefits will be adjusted. For those people who are drawing Social Security benefits this year, they should have already seen a 2.6% increase in their benefit amount that showed up on their January Social Security checks and will continue to be received throughout the rest of the year. That was based on the Consumer Price Index figures from the last quarter of 1992 through the end of the third quarter of 1993. That's when they take a look at what inflation is and what how the cost of living has increased in various factors, and the Commerce Department issues those figures, and when they do, then the Social Security benefit increases are automatically by legislation tied directly to that percentage. Now, one of the things that this also does is this affects how much a person can work and earn before they have a loss of or any adjustment of Social Security benefits.
Welcome back. We've got two other guests up here with us. We've got Eva Passbigger and Larissa Naylor, and up here with Karen Dagenhart, the English teacher. Welcome.
Thank you.
Larissa and Eva, welcome to the Life Today program we're talking about today.
Thank you.
Good to have you. We're talking about the Ferdinand Marion Heights Liegenthal, I did that wrong again, sister school. But anyway, excuse me on that one. But we want to talk a little bit. Eva, what's it like living with American family when you came over here?
When I came over here, it was very nice. There was a great welcome, and it feels good. They told me, here are the glasses, here are the drinks, feel yourself home, and just do what you want.
Did you get in a family that spoke German with you, or did they all speak English?
They also speak German, but I try to speak as much English as possible.
Okay. Did you find anything different in the home than what you do in Germany in the way of the home?
For example, they all live in many of them live in trailers here in the U.S., and we don't have that trailers in Germany, and that's a great difference, big difference. And another difference is, for example, they have everyone has ice in his drinks because it's very hot, and it's not so hot in Germany, so I'm not used to it.
Okay. Larissa, you lived over with a German family, right?
With Avi.
Oh, with Avi, okay. Then what did you find the difference from going to America over to Germany?
Well, for one thing, at home, I live kind of out of town, and so she lives right in town in an apartment, and the apartments they're very nice and very modern, and we were able to walk around in the town. It's very old-fashioned, the town. It's very beautiful, and in Avi's family, it's just her and her mother, and so we. I like the meals because I love German food for one thing, and the meals, they're just fun. You just talk a lot, and you just don't want to get up and leave. You just want to stay there.
I like the German meals when they serve that dessert too, Larissa. But you're not from this immediate area. Where's your hometown?
I'm from Coldwater, Michigan.
And you're living outside of Coldwater, so you say it's not in the community itself.
It's only about 7 minutes out of town, so.
Okay. We talk a little bit about Karen coming over here. Did you have a lot of preparations for you to come to Ferdinand, to the Marion Heights? Prepare them for that?
Well, we had some preparations, yes, but also the sisters at Marion Heights, they organized our stay here so well, really. They helped us a lot. It was wonderful. So we didn't really have to do so much organization in Germany. But we had some preparation to do, yes, of course, prepare for the journey and get the tickets ready and everything like that. But they really have been a lot of.
Where did you fly out of?
We flew out of Munich over to Atlanta, and then we changed plane in Atlanta to Louisville.
Came into Louisville.
Yes.
I heard you were greeted in Louisville.
Yes. Now we even got a honorary citizenship of Louisville. All of us, we're honorary citizens now. So.
I guess that gives you tickets to the Derby, Kentucky Derby.
Well, I don't think so. Well, we won't be here anyway when that is on. So.
All right. I understand that you're going to visit other areas. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to see Washington, D.C., your capital, and which will be very interesting for us. And we're going to see St. Louis, Cincinnati, and Chicago. So we'll be quite around a bit.
See the culture in that. What did you see the culture difference in this, Eva, that we are the two communities in that?
Well, the American way of life is a bit different than the German way of life, I think. Here everything is a little bit easier. So, for example, no one locks the doors of the cars or of the houses. And in Germany, that's completely different. I think we all want to be safe, and so. Another difference is, for example, here are sports like baseball and football, which is also in Germany, but not so much and not so good, I think. There's more like soccer or tennis or so. Another difference is maybe the fashion, because here in the US, everybody wears Guess jeans, if I may say that. And in Germany, nobody knows Guess, nobody. And in Germany, Levi's jeans are very popular. So we tried to find them here, but we didn't find them.
Okay. So we're going to be right back after this message. Welcome back. My guest is Sergeant Norm Weber, Public Information Officer for the Indiana State Police at the Jasper Post. Scams. I think we've all been involved in them.
One way or another.
That's right. I want to welcome you, Sergeant, here, and I'm going to call you Norm because I've known you long enough that we've been acquainted that we can talk about it. But the part of the scams that people think that they're really getting a good deal out of these things, but really they're not. And I think I've been faced with them. Everybody else has been faced with them, and we're going to be concerned about that, right?
Yes,
in scam.
Must remember, it may sound like a good deal, but it's probably a good steal.
Okay.
A scam is usually involves a thief.
Okay.
And you know, I like to call them a spade a spade. If it looks like a thief and acts like a thief, it's probably a thief.
Right.
And he's looking for people like you, people that will be subject to a con, that will, you know, lower their inhibitions, and they'll say, yeah, I want that good deal. I'm greedy.
Okay. Let's start off just talking a little bit about the scams. I've had calls at evening when I want to eat my meal, or I've had a call of an evening saying, wondering, you know, real happy. They come on the phone and say some things. And when do they call? Why do they call, and when do they call?
Well, you know, there's marketing companies that worldwide call just to try to get you to spend money. And it's been my experience in checking those out, that out of every dollar that you spend with them, only about 28 cents of that's going to go to that company. We have those throughout our industry. Every police agency, they've got people that prey on the fact that people want to help the police. People want to help the missing children. People want to help with the drug programs. And so they will call, and you know, it's just almost every day
Okay,
that
have they
someone
got
in the county receives that call soliciting for monies.
Yeah.
And
When
it-
do they
it's-
call? When is a good time that you can expect that type of call?
Oh, usually after dark.
After dark?
Yes.
What's the purpose? Is there a reason?
Well, they know there's more people at home. The phone is more likely to be answered by an individual rather than a machine.
So in other words, they know from the marketing, this is the time to do it.
Right. Now, what should you do to avoid that? How should you avoid that being the victim of such a trickery? Deal with your local people. If you deal with you want to help the local police out, deal with them. If you want to help with the camps, send a boy to camp. Make your check out to that so that boy can go directly to camp, and every penny of it goes toward him going to camp. If you want to help with a drug, try to get some drug information, your local police officers can help you do that.
Okay. This is a beautiful story because it influenced your life to be a minister, didn't it?
By all means, because I had been bayoneted by one of the guards for stealing some beets that we all had drawn short straws to see who would get them. And he bayoneted me in both legs for quite a while. I just could not forget. By the time I went into that family, by the time I got out, I was so bitter I don't know what I would have done. But when I left that home in 2 weeks, I know what bitterness was, because I never have known any greater love than that family could give me, even in my own home.
We're going to be running out of time,
Okay.
but let's get to you went back and
Yes.
found the family.
I called the Evansville Courier, and they gave me the name of a newspaper in Dresden. They put it in the paper. One of the girls heard about it, sat down and wrote us a letter and said, "We remember you fondly. We wish you could come tomorrow." So on September the 27th, Ray Arnsman and May, who are from Huntingburg, went with us, and we spent 3 days with them. They were out in the yard, out in the street, waiting an hour before we got there, waving when we drove up, and the love that they gave me continued. They said they would have remembered me, but I don't see how they could have. But they are a great, great, wonderful family, and without that love, when I left there, I didn't know what hatred was, but I knew it at one time. I don't think I could have ever been a minister without that kind of love. And when I came home, my father-in-law, Reverend Harold K. Kemp, had been a minister for years, and he said, "Jim, you were missing for a long time. We know whether you're alive or dead. I promised God I'd ask you a question if you came back." And I said, "What?" He said, "Would you go into ministry?" And I laughed and said, "Oh, not me." But I guess he sowed a better seed than I thought, because I got home in sometime September, October. I preached my first sermon on the last Sunday of December of 45, and I've been at it ever since.
And you fondly remembered because the pastor at Huntingburg United Methodist
Oh,
Church
yes, very much.
for a number of years. You've came back and supplied the church when it had a need, and you've supplied other churches in the area, and I think it is tremendous. But this influence that they've had has been lasting, hasn't
Oh,
it?
it always will. They now call me their brother.
Oh, they
There
do.
was 3 of the girls left. 2 of them, and they took in a third one after the war. Her family was destroyed in her home, and they took in another one. And so those 3 live together. The oldest girl now lives in Berlin. We didn't get to see her, but they couldn't have been more loving and more precious than they are.
They were in the part of Germany that was east,
They were behind the Iron Curtain for 35 years.
and you did send them packages.
We
you
did that. We sent food to them for 2 years, and that got them in trouble. We didn't know until later. The Russians found it out and punished them for it. But after about 2.5 years, we couldn't contact them or send any food to them, and we didn't. And so it's been 48 years since we'd ever had any contact with them at all. It was a miracle that we ever found them.
Yeah, and then probably the greatest joy of the life is to reunite with them.
By all
wasn't it?
means, by all means. It was fantastic. There was 5 of us. We took an interpreter with us, and we thought we ought to go to a motel, and they said, "No, you'll stay with us." And they started on Friday night practicing sleeping on the floor and the couches so we could have the beds.
Isn't
That's
that
the kind of
beautiful?
people they are.
Isn't that wonderful? And
Sure
that
is.
Sure is. But you know, the fact is that you have taken your life and dedicated it to God and to service, because of an instance, because of miracles, right?
Yes, I've had my share of them.
You've had your share, and that's a part of the Christmas season that we want to talk about. And we're going to take a little extra time to wrap up today and talk about the Christmas season with you and what it means to you now and through the time after you have came back from here. But important also is that you have dedicated your life to help others and show them the miracle. So we'll wrap up a little early at this point, and we'll be back and after this time. Thank you for joining today for our anniversary show. I want to thank you personally for the number of people who've come up and told myself and the people who've been on the show how much they appreciate it, and those who have joined us practically every week. The program next year, we're going to continue. We're going to look at first Monday of every month for Social Security, our information by the Indiana State Police. And then we're going to go back with our celebrations of the festivals, community, and recreation, government, whatever programs we find interesting that'll help you. So I want to again thank you for what you have done to celebrate with us for this past year. Join us next week for the second season of Life Today.